come from? And where are we going?
Welcome to the program, friends, and thank you for tuning in to Red Ice Creations Radio. We are recording from the west coast of Sweden. My name is Henrik Palmgren. I am the editor and webmaster of redicecreations.com, a website dedicated to news, research, and exploration of topics and areas that we consider to be both interesting and of great importance in these interesting times that we live in. So I hope that you stop by the website often, read the articles and participate by making comments and joining us in the forum, and we also welcome submissions and tips to the website. We also, of course, have this radio show. We have a new program up for you every Thursday and Sunday. Interviews with interesting guests talking about interesting topics. And today with us on the line we do have an interesting guest. We are going to dive into a mix of different interesting subjects like esoteric astrology, a bit Egyptology, a little New Age, some 2012, and maybe some Stargate conspiracy also perhaps. Our guest is Greg from the website or a blog called Occult of Personality, and maybe you guys out there are familiar with his site already. The URL is rochester92.vox.com, and a while back Greg did an interview with me and Fredrik from Red Ice Creations, and we have linked up a few of Greg's excellent postings, interviews and podcasts before, so hopefully you are familiar with Occult of Personality at this point. If you are not, now is the time to check it out. Again, the URL is rochester92.vox.com. So it's a pleasure to have Greg with us today to be able to talk more about his site, how things got going and where things are going to end up, I guess. But so with that, let's say welcome to Greg, and thank you so much for spending some time with us here today, Greg.
Thank you very much, Henrik. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of your show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to have you. I'm glad we managed to get together here, and you know, I kind of love to begin, I guess, to talk a little bit about your website here today. You know how things got started, and I guess when you got started, you kind of I don't know when I became aware of your work. How long have you been around?
Well, the site's been up probably since the end of September or early October of 2006. So not that long.
Yeah, but you seem to been able to dive right into the some of the most interesting topics out there, I guess. I mean, what's your background, so to speak? Have you been reading and studying these subjects for a long time before you started the site?
Well, I've always sort of been interested in what you would consider sort of otherworldly subjects, sort of anything from fantasy or science fiction to the occult, ever since I was younger. Mm-hmm. But I'd say recently, in the past year or so, I've become a lot more interested in learning more about it. I really started the site as a way of connecting with other people who were researching these same topics, to learn about what they were doing, and if I could just sort of connect with them and talk with them, because I don't really have anyone in my own life that I can talk about these subjects. So.
I totally hear what you're saying. This is I think that's a great kind of way to do it, just to kind of to be able to create this, I guess, loose network, and you have had some excellent interviews up there on your site, of course. But in regards to, I guess, if we go back a few years or so, then I mean, were there some kind of, have you been listening to a lot of online radio? Did you discover some documentary that kind of got your eyes open to this, or were there any kind of particular event or research that really I guess nudged you in this direction, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's very easy to point them out too. The work of Jordan Maxwell, the work of Michael Tsarian, the work of you and Fredrik with your website, Red Ice Creations.
Thank you.
probably the main three influences that really sort of made me want to delve a lot deeper into this material.
Yeah. You know, in regards to it being difficult, I mean, what do you think it is that is so difficult for people to generally? I mean, do you find it that people just don't wanna in your surrounding, I guess, don't want to talk about these subjects, or do you feel that you know you have to have a huge background or knowledge, I guess, in regards to these topics to be able to talk about them, or is there anything else, do you think, that kind of prevents us from communicating with all people on this? Because I totally, you know what you're saying, so to speak.
Yeah, actually, from my experience, it's really been twofold. The first is, you know, and it's just a general ignorance about these subjects. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it's, you know, some people choosing to be ignorant. It's just that they're not taught. And if they are taught, they're taught in a misleading way from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, once you're aware of all of these subjects and the background and history of them, you really have to have an open mind and be able to basically look at things that you may have been taught since you were a child and reject them, you know, outright.
Yeah.
Not everyone, of course, you know, would have that same experience, but that was mine. And I think that's a lot of other people's as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I guess there are so many, you know, so many different subjects, of course, that we're talking about here. It's I guess we could connect, you know, history and ancient history with this, and of course the more new research in regards to, you know, where we're currently heading. It seems, you know, into the new world order type scenario. And so, I mean, do you have a sense of urgency? Because I can feel that sometimes, you know, that on one level I'm just, you know, interested in finding out, you know, more about these subjects in regards to that. I'm curious about them, but I can sometimes I really, you know, feel this sense of urgency in regards to that. This is very important stuff if we're able to, you know, be able to break free from certain, you know, things that are being implemented at the moment. Do you share that view?
Yes, I do. I don't know if I describe it so much as urgency for me as a sense of being proactive more. I guess it kind of allays any sort of fear or tension and anxiety by, you know, being able to actually explore these things and talk with people about them instead of just being bombarded by all these different messages from, you know, not only mainstream media and society, but also the alternative media.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think there's a lot of mixed messages there as well. So. Sure.
There's a lot of, I guess, a lot of agendas out there, and there's, you know, a lot of different people who want to, you know, go in a lot of different ways, so to speak, and try to, of course, influence people to, I guess, believe in this or the other or anything like that. But what I really appreciate about your website also, of course, is you know, that it seems to be more about the kind of exploration of the topics rather than the you know, the denotation of something or saying that this or the other is bad or evil or whatever. Is that kind of your something that you purposely try to, you know, highlight, so to speak?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, you know, anybody who actually goes and does the reading and does the research into the primary sources, and, you know, you're familiar with all of these type of books, Manly P. Hall's Secret Teachings,
Sure.
Blavatsky's ISIS Unveiled and Secret Doctrine, the work of people like Rudolf Steiner, you know,
yeah.
All of these writers, you know, they kind of give you a lot of the information from the ancient world, and I think by labeling it as good or bad, you're really ancient world, when they talk about the mystery schools, there's nothing inherently bad about that, and I think that's important to recognize.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And again, if we are to understand it, we have to, I guess, get in the mindset of those people to be able to understand the knowledge and actually what they meant. If we are to, I think that in all cases there are, you can learn from it, whether you agree on it or not. And I mean, this is of course in regards to when words like the occult come up and so forth. And of course your website is called the Occult of Personality. So I guess I'd like to ask you, what's your take on the occult? Is it something sinister, or what is it?
In my opinion, it's not something sinister, but I find it somewhat humorous that people do think that it is. Sure, there are aspects of it that certainly could be. Just like anything, any type of information that's powerful, it really depends on what the person does with it.
Mm, yeah.
Somebody who has very, powerful information can do something very good or very bad with it.
Sure.
So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that I think kind of treat it as a verboten topic, that you're not something that shouldn't be delved into. It should be avoided. And then there are those who want to know about it, but still think it's evil or something.
Yeah.
I'm a person that wants to know about it and is, just being open-minded and trying to, pick my way through all of the minefield of things, because, just like any field, there is a lot of disinformation there.
Mm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, in regards to what the subjects and so to speak, what that you bring up on the site and that you write about, this is a bit of a difficult question, I guess. But is there something in particular kind of that you are searching for or trying to to find out, to get to the root to, or is it just the variety of topics that interest you? Oh.
Yeah, it's really a variety of subjects that interest me. I'm not trying to get to any ultimate truth. I'm not, even sure that this information would lead me to that, except for the knowledge that, there is no necessarily a secret, ultimate secret, that many people will try to sell you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's also important, that these subjects don't, continue to be, kind of swept under the rug, because there's a lot of important information here. And, when we get into talking about things like the New Age, for many people who are just coming to these subjects, it is new. But for people who are familiar with the occult, it's basically, looks like reinventing the wheel.
Indeed. This is one thing that came to mind just today when thinking about all this, that all the thousands of